Well, Amazon Prime has snagged a pandemic-era blockbuster for their streaming channel.
It's an incredible action movie with aliens, time travel, and plenty of humor.
And Chris Pratt.
Yes.
We're talking about Tomorrow War on this episode of the Finding Good podcast with Kevin and Milton.
Welcome back to the Project Finding Good podcast with Kevin and Milton. Here we are, back in the studio.
That's right.
Talking about this awesome movie, Tomorrow War, on Amazon Prime.
Loved it. Another great summer blockbuster.
Man.
So good.
Yeah. And we mentioned this in another episode. We got to just get beyond in our minds that these are Amazon Prime movies or Netflix movies. I mean, they're legit films.
Yeah.
And they're done well. Big time actors.
Yep.
Big time budgets. This is the new landscape of film.
I read Amazon paid $200 million for this film.
It was worth it.
So I mean,
I would have paid $200 million if I had $200 million. I don't even have $200, but anyway,
it was a big movie, and it broke records.
Did it?
First weekend broke records for Amazon Prime, #1 movie in the world, whatever that means right now.
Yeah, right.
And they're already talking about a sequel.
That's cool, man.
So it's cool. And we are going to talk fully about the movie as we always do here on the Finding Good podcast. So if
big time spoilers on this one.
Big time spoilers.
Yeah.
And there actually is a big time spoiler, but would highly recommend you go see this. Who doesn't have Amazon Prime by now? If you're paying for shipping on Amazon, you are doing life wrong.
Exactly.
And you get this free.
You get so much. You get Amazon Prime. You get Amazon Films. You get Amazon Music.
Yep.
There's so much to
do it. And free shipping.
And we're not getting paid for this commercial.
We should be. Like,
but it was a solid movie. And I want to say, with the landscape of film, so much is just like rehashing old ideas, rehashing old books and movies. This was pretty original. This was kind of a new spin on the time travel, alien kind of war thing, and I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Yeah, I was nervous because I didn't know that time travel was involved, and time travel makes me really confused. It hurts my brain.
Does it?
Any movie with time travel in it.
Did you understand Back to the Future? Can I help you with that?
No. And,
do we need to do an episode on that?
No and no.
Oh, boy.
You can't. What, you understand time travel?
Absolutely.
Oh, my gosh. You do not understand time travel.
Come on, man. It's
Every
so
movie
simple.
is different.
It's so simple. You just can't bump into yourself in the future because then it messes everything up.
But that's not how this movie worked.
Yeah, he didn't bump into himself.
Yeah, I guess they did have that. They had that whole 30-year timeline, and everybody was coming back who wasn't born yet.
Made all the perfect sense. This is scientifically provable. All of this.
I don't think so. It just hurts my brain, but this one didn't hurt my brain.
No.
So it was simple enough that they explained it, and I was like, okay.
And of course, it doesn't hurt to have Chris Pratt in your movie. We're MCU guys,
sure.
So we love Star-Lord,
yes,
Chris Pratt, great actor.
Well, going all the way back to The Office.
Yeah, true.
This is where we all got to know him.
Yeah,
he wasn't as good looking as he is now. He had a few more pounds back in The Office days.
You're bringing up a very touchy subject right now with me, because I watch these movies with my wife, right?
Okay.
And like, these guys, they rip their shirts off for these movies, right? He's about to get the thing injected on him, or the thing, and
it's in his contract, I think.
Right? And there he is. He's in great shape, whatever. And I just make a passing comment to my wife, like, oh, look, check it out, whatever, blah blah blah, and she's like, yeah. You could look like that. And I'm just like, what? Wait a second. I'm like, because I've only lost 60 pounds, honey. Yeah. That's not enough. Now I got to try to get this Chris Pratt 6-pack over here.
It's just next level, Milton.
No,
so
man.
Was this kind of like a nudge of like, let's go, let's keep working, hun?
Man. Like, all the Chris's are ruining my life right now because they all are ripped. Chris Pratt, Chris Pine, Chris Evans. Like, can the Chris's just stop?
I'm more of a fan of Chris Kringle.
Wow. Wow.
In fact, the entire time you've been talking, I've been sucking in.
Is that why you're eating salads at Chick-fil-A now instead of the nuggets?
Hey, it's called goals. They're goals for a reason.
I'm with you, man. We gotta pound it out, man, for our wives.
But Chris Pratt's hilarious.
Oh, he's great.
He's got great comedy and good action combination. And he showed it. He was surrounded by characters that cracked me up.
Yeah.
They were great. And the whole premise of this movie is we're going to take average Joes who have no military experience, flip you into the future in 30 years.
For a week.
For a week. Yeah. And you get maybe like a couple days of training. These guys don't know how to operate their gun. And you're going to fight giant aliens going after you. That's going to work out well. Do you know how fast I would get killed in that scenario? Like...
Oh, come
you
on.
and me, you would survive because you'd be analytical and you'd be like figuring it out and you'd be like preaching to the aliens and they'd be converting to Christianity.
Absolutely.
I would get ate immediately.
And those things were fast and scary.
Yep.
And the shooting like bone spikes out of their tentacles.
Yeah, don't do that.
What?
Ouch.
Yeah.
Not nice creatures.
No, that was a pretty scary moment in the movie.
I did love that you saw the aliens the entire time, though, because a lot of these movies, like A Quiet Place, which we talked about a couple weeks ago, like that, you didn't see them as much. They were kind of in the background, or they're fast. These were characters in the movie.
Yeah. Now, Chris Pratt's character was this. I just loved the way they put this character together, which is a guy who. He kind of has this feeling like he's not doing enough in his life. He hasn't found his purpose. He hasn't found what he's about.
No job. Can't get hired.
Yeah. He loves his daughter. He loves his wife. He loves his family, but he wants more. Mm-hmm. Right? And it's in this process of being drafted into this war where he finally figures out what his purpose is. And I don't know where you are in this, but I get that feeling of like, what am I supposed to be doing with my life? You know, and my whole college career was that, you know, like just trying to figure out like who am I, right? And he goes on this journey where he makes this discovery. Unfortunately, he has to, you know, see a lot of death on the way, but I loved his portrayal of that, and I think it had a lot to say about that, about purpose.
Yeah. No, he was certainly on that journey. I think that's what it is. And what's fun about this movie is he didn't know. He didn't know he was on that journey. Right. He was just answering the call. And in fact, trying to get out of it in any way he could, and then kind of stumbling into that. One of my favorite moments was him getting off the phone with his job that he thought he had in the bank. Yeah. They told him he didn't have it. And then you just felt the weight of that moment of like, I've got to go back in this house, still unemployed. And he sat down on the couch, and his little daughter, who's like 8, you know, or 9, goes like everything's gonna be okay, Daddy. So sweet. And he's like, I'm the one that's supposed to be telling you that. Right. I thought that was a sweet moment, but also you just felt the weight of this guy's life of like, I don't know where I'm going and what I'm supposed to be doing. Fast forward 30 years, we discover what has happened in that gap, because. Giant spoiler alert again. Yes. The commander in the future is his grown-up daughter. Right. Which was a huge moment, awesome twist, I thought, in the middle of the movie. But it provided some like look into his life of what's going to happen. Yeah. And through that search of purpose, he kind of lost his way. And he lost track of his family, he lost track of his wife, and that they became estranged, and really made a negative impact in his daughter's life, who she still is carrying years later. Yeah. It's hard to watch. Oh, it was tough. And to think that he, because he didn't understand his role in his life, his purpose, it caused such damage to his family, right? And it took him this just tragic experience to finally figure it out. You know, and I love that she's the one who guides him to his purpose. Mm-hmm. She's the one. He's all he cares about is saving her, and she's like, no, it's not about saving me. Right. It's about who you are and what you're gonna do to save humanity, to make sure this never happens.
take this, antidote and go back and make it right. And he goes into his purpose kicking and screaming, right? He doesn't want to. But in the end, he embraces it. And that basically saves not just the world, but it saves him, right? So if we could just get to the point where we're understanding who we are, what we're supposed to be doing, I think it'll make a huge difference in the way our lives are lived.
I was watching this movie, and it was I couldn't help but reflect at all the times I've failed people, not only my own family, but like friends and just different encounters. And I certainly have not done everything perfectly at all. But it gave me hope that there are opportunities to fix and move forward. But I just had to wonder, like, how do you move forward after failing someone so many times? Like, how do you fix that? We don't have that opportunity to see how our mistakes have affected and then go back and do better. We don't get that opportunity. What we get is mistakes that aren't corrected, and then we have to deal with this garbage life that we've created for ourselves, or there's these garbage situations and relationships that we have to repair. And it'd be so much easier if we could see our mistakes and travel back in time and be able to be a better person before.
Yeah. This isn't going to be fun to hear, okay? But and this isn't universal, okay? But I've dealt with enough people to say, and I hope this isn't too offensive to anybody, but it's the truth. How many times do we make choices that we know are the wrong choices? We just go into situations and we just do the stupid thing, right? And I'm saying this to myself because I've done it, okay? I walk into a crossroad and I know what I'm supposed to do and I don't choose it. Why? Because I'm stubborn, because I'm stupid, or whatever the reason might be. I'm angry at somebody, so this is going to hurt them, so I'll do it even though I know it's the wrong thing to do. And I think so many times we give ourselves too much freedom to do stupidity. And we got to stop. We got to stop doing that. And I think especially as parents, or inside of a family, like choose the right thing. Like, what the right thing to do is. But you don't do it. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm arguing with myself here too, right. I'm pointing it at you, Kevin, but I'm guilty of this as well.
Yeah.
So because we create our own messes and we do have to clean them up. Yeah. But let's try not to create the mess in the first place.
I think there's a lot of warnings. I'm reading a good book right now on marriage. Certainly this comes up for me a lot as a married guy. I have 21 years here this September. A lot of opportunities to fail a relationship and do better.
Yeah.
But certainly one of the advices is don't let anger fester. The longer you let it fester and not heal, that sin, that darkness in your heart can really take hold and become a lot of other things. Yeah. And I think we see that, and pretty soon, eventually, you find yourself at places you never thought you would be, doing things you never thought you would do, thinking thoughts you never thought you would think. And it's not a one situation thing. It is continually fighting that desire to be selfish and continually pursuing to do better. And I thought this movie hit that point home out of the park. Yeah. And I don't know, it got me thinking at a lot of levels just to do better. And you're right. We know how to do better. What is preventing us from choosing that, I think, is probably the different situation for all of us. Take some time and figure that out. Yeah. And why am I not choosing to do better? And then put some of those actions into action.
It's important because the longer you live in the darkness of, if you want to call it evil or sin or whatever term you use, the farther you go down that road, the more you're going to find yourself doing the things you never thought you would be doing. There's a story in the Bible about a lady who was so hungry for power that when her son died, he was the king. And when her son died and that power vacuum came, she started killing her grandchildren so that she could be in power. And you would think, you have your mom. I have my mom. I can't think of a scenario where my mother would try to kill my children. Like, what would make a grandmother do something like that? It only happens when you go deep, deep down into the darkness that happens. And we have to make the choices that don't take us down those paths.
Well, he said that in the movie. He's like, I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to leave you. I'm never, like, he couldn't see his future ahead of him and where he was at now.
Yeah.
Like, nobody, I think, wakes up and goes, hey, I'm going to leave my family, and hey, I'm going to destroy my daughter's life. And it happens in moments and very slowly that you can't see coming. And it takes a special awareness daily to understand it's never the big moments. It's always the little things that build up, that create destruction in not only your life and those around you. And that's powerful.
So maybe what we need to give our listeners and our viewers is maybe some practical thoughts on how do we avoid going down those kinds of paths? What can we practically do to make sure that we're on the path of doing well instead of going down a path that will take us to a place we don't want to be? What do you think? What's something you'd advise?
Well, I think it has to come from a really broken spirit. I think if I'm protecting myself, if I'm worried about how I'm being treated, if I'm worried about how I'm being talked to, instantly I'm probably on the wrong path.
Wow.
And which is so hard because yourself wants to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
So to be aware of when that happens, it's a gut check to like, oh shoot, am I self-preserving here versus taking care of those around me?
That's good. That's really good. And I'd add to that, you need to surround yourself with people who can call you out. Mm-hmm. Who have permission to look you in the face and say, like, hey, these decisions you're making are going to take you a place you don't want to be. If you're a Kevin, you need a Milton. You need a Milton to be like, Kevin, don't do that. That's a bad idea. You're gonna ruin your life. Yeah. We all need a Milton in our lives.
Well, you need a Milton too, Milton.
Yeah, I do. Her name is Denise.
There you go.
Well, there you go. That's our episode of the Project Finding Good podcast covering Tomorrow War. And thanks for being with us. If you like the content that we're providing, we want to invite you to like this video, subscribe, and of course, smash that bell so that every time we put something new on, you're informed.
Yes.
We want you to be informed. And also, we'd love to know if you have some suggestions on content you'd like us to talk about, share about, try to find the good in it. So anyway, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.
We got to go do some Chris Pratt push-ups and abs.
Yes, we do.
Let's go. Let's do this.